Sandali here, and now I'm going to break down the draft needs for the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have switched offensive coordinators yet again. That's yet another offensive system for Joe Flacco to learn. They made the playoffs last year, but that's because the San Diego Chargers choked against second-string quarterback Chase Daniels and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they played the Cleveland Browns. If they play a decent team on the last day of the season, they lose on the last day of the season, and the Texans go to the playoffs. Just throwing that out there. But that's not the question at hand. The question at hand here is, what do they need in the draft? Well, I think they need receiver. Torrey Smith left for San Francisco. Steve Smith is getting a year older. A tight end is also a need for them because they lost Owen Daniels, and he wasn't much. I mean, he made plays for them when he was on the field, when he got his snaps. But he's gone to Denver. Dennis Pitter, you don't know if he's ever going to be really healthy. So they need tight end. They could use a receiver. Their defense is usually pretty good. Their running game. Justin Forsett had a really great year last year in Kubiak's zone blocking scheme. I'm interested to see what scheme they run in Baltimore next year. I don't know if he's necessarily going to fit, and maybe they'll take a running back. It's not a dire need. Like I said, Forsett had a great year last year. I don't know if he could duplicate that. So maybe it is. Excuse me. Maybe it is a position that the Ravens think about. They do need. They do need. I definitely think they need to address their wide receiver position. Like I said, again, you just don't know when Father Time's going to hit. I mean, obviously, Steve Smith has had an outstanding career. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. But you just don't know when these 34, 35-year-old players are going to hit their decline. Especially wide receivers. I mean, he was healthy last year. That's what he's got going for him. He's still healthy. He's still relatively at the top of his game. But yeah, it's another system to learn for Flacco, and I mean, just that guy's head must be ringing off the hook. He's got so many different offensive systems going on in his head. This could be a down year for the Ravens because Flacco's got, like I said, he's got to learn a new system. And honestly, when you put a new system in place in the NFL, you have to put the pieces that fit that puzzle. Otherwise, you got guys that running a system they don't run really well, and they honestly might not fit the system. And that's actually a concern going back to Forsett. He did well in the zone blocking scheme for Kubiak last year. I don't know if they're running that this year. So he could have a down year. But their defense is pretty good. I mean, it's realistically a two-team race in the AFC North with the Steelers and obviously the Ravens as usual. But I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think them learning a new offense, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to get. They're going to need to get some continuity. They do draft very well. That's one of the things they do very well as a team, as an organization. Is they get very good production from their players when they draft them. So, and that's a little bit of luck. It's also just knowing who the right guys are. Excuse me. So I would. Excuse me. I would also look at their defense and probably address the cornerback position. Maybe safety. You know, they haven't really had. I mean, obviously Ed Reed's a Hall of Famer. You're not just going to replace that production in like 2 or 3 years. But you got to get a little bit of help. You got to get a little bit more out of your safety position. I didn't think they got a lot last year. I know they were complaining about the Patriots' whole little eligible receiver thing, but that, to me, they just weren't good enough to beat. They didn't make. They didn't. What the Ravens didn't do in that game. They became victim of Kubiak's 5-play offense. They really did. They tried to play hero ball late in the game instead of they had time. They had plenty of time. That play call at the end to Torrey Smith in the end zone when Flacco didn't have to go deep. I mean, they didn't. That's just the epitome of Kubiak's play calling. He panics. He calls a hero play and it doesn't work. And 9 times out of 10, his teams lose. They could have just easily ran the ball on the Patriots. The way they were running it, they could have had a shot of winning that game. But it's all I could have, would have, should have. But they do need. I look at the Ravens. I feel like their defense, their linebacking core, their defensive line is solid. It's their secondary. I have a little bit of doubt in. I think if there's a soft spot in their defense, it's their secondary. Offensively, receiver, tight end, maybe running back, and like I said in the video with the Cincinnati Bengals, you can never have too many offensive linemen. The more, the better. So maybe they'll address that position. But what do they need? Tell me, what do y'all think the Baltimore Ravens need to address in this draft? This has been Sam Darley. Thanks for watching.